All right, let's talk some ball, y'all. Let's welcome in our good friend, Jay Moore, who joins us now. Good morning.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
Good. You a whiskey guy?
Uh, it's
Ooh.
got to be in the winter. So no, I mean I'll dabble it a little bit. I'll tell you what, I'm more of a tequila guy, to be honest.
Why did
Mm.
I strike you as a tequila guy, Jay Moore?
I
Why
don't
did
know.
All seem like all Nebraska football players are tequila guys. Just saying. Might be something in the DNA.
I don't know. Yeah, I've tried. I've dabbled. It just doesn't.
are you
You
are
know,
you are you like an into it tequila drinker? Like you're into it, or it's
no, I'm not into it. No, I'm not into it. I like it. If someone's like, would you rather have a nice pour of bourbon or a nice pour of a good tequila? I'm gonna take a good tequila. I don't collect it. I don't do anything crazy. Every now and then I'll get a wild hair and buy a decent bottle, have the house. But I just prefer like a tequila fresca drink or tequila
that's very
like
good for you?
spicy margarita, like stuff like that. I just don't drink
Yeah.
like whiskey or bourbon, and I just it just that's what I prefer. I'm a beer guy, to be honest. That's what
Yeah.
I prefer. But if I'm gonna have some sort of hard alcohol, it's tequila.
All right, let's talk some football here. By the way, great job, you Michael and Sean last night on Big Red Overreaction, or excuse me, Big Red Wrap Up, with everything that you talked about, and then the tribute to Matty V.
Yeah.
So now into the month of October, bye week. Just get to Saturday. Let's play football, and then we can discuss what looks different. How how and I know what you feel about the program is headed in the right direction. You said that on this show. You said it on Big Red Wrap Up. You sent it to other people while you're golfing and don't invite me. But what? How will we judge if Nebraska is getting better the next four games? Because everybody's going to say, "Well, you should win. You're going to be a favorite." How will we judge if Nebraska learned from Michigan? They're getting better by the time we turn around and play on November 1.
Yeah, I think for me it's going to start defensively. Obviously, cleaning up that run game. Uh, just no big plays. We saw big runs against from Cincinnati and obviously Michigan. Clean that up, tackling better, just more hats around the ball. The ball, the offensive ball carrier being funneled into the help, using your leverage better. Jay Foreman hit the nail on the head. Getting aligned right and is 99% of good football. Put yourself in a position to win pre-snap, and then knowing where your help is and understanding where you can take risks at, where you can't, where you got to play a little more safe because you're the last line of defense. So that's gonna be number one. It's just you'll be able to tell that more hats on the ball, just better overall tackling, and the ball gets funneled into their help. I think that will be a big key. And then offensively, obviously getting the run game going, but seeing what they're doing early with Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to get the ball out of his hands quicker, utilize some intermediate short yardage throws to help him out, get in rhythm? Michigan State's not very good against the pass, so helping him going, and then hopefully that'll help loosen up game and they can attack there. And they got to improve on the run game as well. There's no doubt about it. But it's just not. It's just not a strength. I just don't. I'm not going to sit here and say all of a sudden Nebraska's offense is going to be rushing for 200 yards plus a game. I just don't think they're built that way with Dylan's ability, at quarterback. His strength is in his arm, and they got weapons at the wide receiver position, and they got, the backup running back situation is still uncertain right now. And O-line, there's some issues too. So I just, overall, both sides of the ball. Special teams, I'm not too concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's just efficiency. It's just got to look a little cleaner. Uh, more of them on the offense, and just stop that leaky yardage defensively just by being in a better position. And I feel confident that we'll see a much more improved defense and a better rhythmic offense on Saturday afternoon.
Since 2021, Nebraska has lost 10 games and where they were favored. 9 of those games have been in the Big Ten. And so 4 of them specifically have been under Matt Rule. 7.5 last year against UCLA, 9.5 against Illinois. They lose both of those games, and both of those games were at home. And I've been a firm believer that the next step for the Nebraska program is beating the teams that you are favored against. And that I know, we talked about the term, but for lack of a better term, you should win, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As a former player, Jay, how do you balance all right, we're favored and we're favored by 11.5 points, and this should be a game where we control and we dominate, but you also don't just walk into the game thinking, oh, we're going to win. How do you balance the mentality of we got to go out there, but at the same time, we can't let off on the gas? Because that might have been a factor in the past.
Yeah, as a former player, and maybe this is just me. This is maybe how I was taught by even Mark Wortman at Elkhorn: is you respect every opponent and you prepare no matter who you're going against. It doesn't matter if they're good, bad, great, terrible. You approach every game the same way. You don't ever get too high, you never get too low. It didn't matter if at Nebraska, if we were playing Nickel State or USC, that week of practice was approached the exact same way. And I think that's what good teams do is have that approach. Nebraska, I feel confident they're getting to that point to where they're able to approach each week exactly the same. It shouldn't matter if you're playing Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota. It's all the same things. You fix what needs to get fixed. You handle and keep improving on the things that you are good at. But I don't think, as a player, I never, and again, this may be just me. I never knew what the point spread was, to be honest. I never paid attention to it. I just
Really?
knew I had so many other things to worry about during the middle of the week between football, school, and just being busy. So I just focused on every day was its own deal, right? You approach every day, and every day got broken down to, I got my lift in the morning. Let's attack that. Okay, get cleaned up. I got to go to class. Let's attack that. I got meetings now. Let's attack that. I got practice. Let's attack that. I got I got treatment after practice. Whatever it is, let's attack that. Then I got to finish up this paper. I got a test tomorrow. I got to study for that. Let's attack that. And then boom, you go to bed and you rinse and repeat. And every day is different, but you attack each individual segment of the day. And I think that's just what Nebraska needs to do. Is just you can't it's big picture wise, you can't get engulfed in it. You just got to attack each little thing. Nebraska's got to attack the practice. They got to attack getting better, stopping the run. They got to make sure they're keeping Childs in the pocket, right? They got to attack each individual aspect of the game and just handle your business that way. And I feel comfortable and I feel confident that they are doing that. It's just they got punched in the mouth a couple weeks ago, and it was a little eye-opening experience, and it's probably good for them. It was a healthy experience to get that done in this part of the season than the back half. So now I think you'll see a team that is matured and is prepared and will handle their business. And if they don't, I heard you guys talking before break. It's like if they come out here and don't handle business, then there's bigger issues at stake here internally. But I feel very confident that Coach Rule and his staff has got these guys prepared and are attacking it the right way.
Why are we going into week 5 and we're discussing who the backup running back is, and the OC says, you're going to see something you've never seen on Saturday? How did we get to this spot?
Yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting comment. I don't know what that means. I mean, you saw them try to do something unique against Michigan with Mosey and Mekhi Nelson in the backfield, kind of using some of that orbit motion kind of stuff. I liked it. It was creative. I don't know what else can be done. I don't know if we're gonna start running the Veer wishbone or something like that. With all of a sudden you get Mosey, Quentin Ives, and Mekhi back there. Who knows? Maybe you go straight up I formation, you power I, get back to some old school stuff with some other guys. There's whatever wrinkles we could potentially throw in there that we haven't seen so far. I don't know, but they got to figure it out, and it's just too much for Emmett to take on throughout Big Ten play. I mean, the amount of carries, and I know they utilize him in the passing game as well. He's only one man. He can only take so many hits and so many carries. We need him. We need him for the rest of the year to be healthy and be fresh. But you got to have that guy. I mean, all great teams have kind of a 1-2 punch. Nebraska, for decades had, a stable. I said it last night. We played 4 running backs when I was at Nebraska between Kenny Wilson, Marlon Lucky, Cody Glenn, Brandon Jackson. Nebraska in the past, Damon, Amon, Clinton
Mhm.
Childs, Lawrence Phillips, right? You have a plethora of options, and Nebraska just, I don't know if it's uncomfortable if with the play calling and they don't know how they fit, but I mean I got to think Makai's got to be the guy, and then if you need another guy, then you have Mosey or Quentin Ives. But yeah, that was a peculiar comment by him, so I don't know what that means, but who knows? With the bye week and you give coaches some time, there could be some unique wrinkles, but sometimes that's can be a blessing and a curse at the same time.
No, one thing that I don't think we've really seen in the last 3 weeks or in the last 3 games for Nebraska that we saw in week one is Emmett Johnson as much in the passing game. And I think heading into the season that we thought that you'd have a lot of swing passes or orbit motions or something that would get him, outside toward the alley, before the ball is even snapped that, acts as an extension of a run game. And we haven't seen a lot of Ja'Cory Barney end arounds or jet sweeps or any of those jet touch passes that he was doing last year. Do you think that maybe they've been saving that up for Big Ten play, that there could be more of an extension of a run game type play calls in the future?
I hope so. I really where that needs to happen is more probably in the scoring area in the high red zone.
Mm.
I think they got to get a little more creative down there when Dylan isn't a threat to keep it and run, and maybe they utilize him just a little more to give the defense a threat. But you get in that position, you're kind of just you want to get your ball in your best player's hands, and whether it's Ja'Cory, Emmett, Dane Key, Dylan, obviously, you want to utilize those guys down there, and they've tried many times. They love that slot fade to Ja'Cory. They've missed on it a bunch of times, right? I mean, the Dane Key touchdown on the fourth down play was fantastic in Cincinnati, but utilizing Ja'Cory, on some jets. I love the shotgun pop pass to a guy coming in jet sweep, getting him on the edge, just little things like that. I also love if Nebraska could get into a fullback look or even a split back option where, you get a guy under center and kind of fakes the fullback or running back and then turns around and pitches it with his opposite hand, kind of get him going one way and you pop back to the other side. Just little things like little wrinkles because they're not good down there right now. They got to get better, and they're going to be able to move the ball on Michigan State on Saturday between the 20s. But when you get in there and if that field condenses, you got to get a little more creative and get your ball into your best player's hands.
What about just blocking? Like it's a mindset, like offensive line. You have a short distance. You have 5 guys, head down, move forward. I mean, that might sound easy for us on the radio to say, "Hear me, armchair quarterback," but isn't that also a reality of offensive line? This is where you shine. Is in the red zone.
Yeah, it is. You're not wrong. It is definitely harder than it sounds like just block them, knock them back 2 yards,
Yeah.
right? Their talent, they're coached well. They got scholarships as well that they're giving out. They have money that they're getting players to play at a high level, and it's something. Sometimes you're going to win, sometimes lose, but you got to understand when you get down there too is blocking schemes that you know that your guys like, whether it's zone, power, counter, duo, whatever it might be, to put your guys in the best position to win. I'm excited to see what Pritchett does. I hope he starts on Saturday. I think they got to get him in there and utilize his athletic ability. But there's all sorts of wrinkles you put in there. But yeah, that's the beauty of the offensive line, defensive line. It's one-on-one, and if you are double teamed, you understand how you handle it. You got to fight as a defensive lineman. You fight through it because you know that double team's usually coming off because he's going to go second level to a linebacker. But yeah, they got to be better. They got to be a little nastier. They got to be more efficient. They got to work better together. They got to communicate better. And I know they worked on it this last week. And I'm excited to see an improved product from that offensive line.
Jay, you talked about the key touchdown. Gary was talking about blocking, and it reminded me of a great quote from a former Big Ten defensive coach that RPO is the purest form of communism. Nebraska has used RPO in the red zone. In your opinion, watching those snaps, should they double down on it? Should they use a little bit more RPO in the red zone to give themselves more options? Or do you think maybe from your eyes, is it something that maybe is confusing them a little bit, or maybe they're not ready to run consistently in the red area? Your observations on
I mean I think they could definitely utilize it more. I'm always a fan of putting your defensive guys in conflict and seeing how good they are disciplined with their eyes. I always talk about eye discipline, and anytime you put your defensive guys, and just the fourth down play to Dane Key at Cincinnati, that was an RPO, right? He held that ball into Emmett's stomach for a long time, and just held, I think, that outside linebacker just enough to create space in that gap for Dane to kind of get in that slant area and complete that pass. So I love RPO. I mean, I like it. I mean, even saw it with kind of in Cincinnati, Dylan with Luke Lindemeyer, where they got down to the almost, I think, to the 1 yard line, and there was a false start on Pritchett on that scenario where I think they got a field goal anyways. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. I just know that as a defensive player, you read that mesh point and you got to trust it. And if they do a good job of holding it, you have to trust it, and you kind of keep them flat footed to where you can get just a crease or whatever, a little angle, just another half a second to get them. That's all it takes at this level. So I'm a huge fan of it, and I would expect to see more of it in an evolution of it the rest of the season.
All right, different from football. What the hell happened to Bethpage over the weekend?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was ugly. I know the course setup, people didn't like it. And the greens are way too soft. US has always historically had the rough low at all their places you can look at it. Europe got hot, man, and they couldn't stop them. And they made a ton of putts. I think I saw that in the first 2 days, Europe was like 33 under, 34 under par, and US was like 22 or 23 throughout the first 2 days. That's bananas. The amount of putts that Europe made, that was crazy. But it's crazy how, I mean, I love the fact they battled back and they had a chance. And I think if Russell Henley makes one of those last 2 putts, I think US comes back from 7 points and wins that damn thing. It was slipping away. But it was just too much too early. And you can say the pairings and whatever it is. But let's be honest, Europe was top to bottom was a stronger team. Look at the amount of majors and the experience in the Ryder Cup. Keegan being first-time captain, and I know he had some decent help from assistant captains, but a lot of those guys hadn't played. And Cam Young played his tail off, a first-time Ryder Cupper. Love that they put him up first and got that initial point there. But you got to play better on Friday, Saturday to give yourself a better chance on Sunday. But rinse and repeat, and we'll see what happens in a couple more years.
Hey, appreciate it as always. Great stuff last night. Also, Jay being on the show, for all you guys chopping up. Really enjoyed it. That was good to have in the bye week, and as always, great to have you on Wednesday morning.
Yep. See you guys. Talk to you next week.
That's Jay.